In this screencast, we're going to talk about bone healing, so how bones heal, how we help them heal, and then 3 factors that either promote or hinder bone healing and bone growth in general. So first, we'll look at how bones heal. So you have lots of blood vessels running through your bone, and so therefore when you break a bone, you also break those blood vessels. So the blood is going to escape from the ruptured blood vessels and form a hematoma. A hematoma is simply a collection of blood. You can have hematomas all over. You can have them in your brain, unfortunately, which can be very, very dangerous. You can have them when you have like a big bump on the outside of your head, if you hit your head on something. If you see blood like collecting like a blood blister under your nail, that's a subungual hematoma. So a hematoma is just a collection of blood. So that's the first thing that happens. The second thing that happens is that spongy bone is going to form. This is a soft callus. So you're going to have a soft callus that's made of spongy bone and some fibrocartilage, and it kind of stabilizes things a little bit there, but it is still a soft callus. It's not good hard bone yet. Next, you're going to have osteoblasts come in and build a hard, bony callus to replace what was fibrocartilage. However, when the osteoblasts build the bone, they're not really concerned about building it perfectly and making it look all pretty and smooth. They just want to stabilize the bone. So in the effort of the body to stabilize the bone, there is extra bone that is there in order to really secure this area of the fracture. So the next thing that needs to happen is we need to reshape the bone. And so osteoclasts are going to get rid of any excess bony tissue to make it look more like the original structure. Sometimes you will still have bumps that don't get all the way kind of shaved or sanded down, but it is a lot closer to the original structure than when the hard callus excess was there. So that is how bones heal on their own. There are several things that we do in order to help bones heal. So the first thing that we do is we try to get rid of any stress that may be unhealthy for the bone or maybe more than the bone can handle at this time. So we are going to use casts to immobilize the area so that we're not moving it around, pulling on that bone, causing it to move. We use crutches or slings to help keep weight off the bone and again help keep it from moving around too much. And then lastly, we may use internal or external rods, screws, or plates to really hold that bone together. Especially these are used when there are lots of pieces or if the ends of the bone are displaced. The rods, plates, and screws will help hold everything in line so that it will heal itself in the right place. Bone is really good at healing. Most bones are really good at healing themselves as long as there's not an underlying condition. And so they will heal themselves well. But when they heal themselves, you want to make sure that the lines are all lined up, the ends, are all lined up so that it doesn't heal with a deformity. So there are 3 factors that we're going to talk about that affect bone healing. There are more than 3 factors that affect bone healing, but we'll just talk about each of these 3. Each of these 3 factors can either help or hinder bone healing or bone growth and development in general. The first one we'll talk about is nutrition. So overall, you want to have good nutrition to help your bones and your body in general be healthy and heal and repair itself. However, 2 things that are really essential to bone healing are vitamin D and calcium. As we know, our bones are made of calcium. Calcium is what makes our bones hard. However, the calcium can't be absorbed into the bones without vitamin D. So we do need vitamin D. Without vitamin D, we don't get the calcium we need, so our bones can't be as hard as they need to be. Here it says that bones become softened and deformed. That's true, but perhaps better terminology might be brittle or not as hard as they could be. Next, we have hormones. There are 2 types of hormones that we really have. These are more for bone growth than they are for bone healing, but I think they're applicable here, so I put them in here. Growth hormone is going to stimulate the cartilage that's in the epiphyseal plates to divide in order to elongate and then make new bone. If you look at the screencast on bone growth and development, you'll see more details about longitudinal bone growth there. Sex hormones that become active during puberty are going to stimulate the epiphyseal plates to finish forming bone and close. So they ossify, meaning the epiphyseal plates that are cartilage turn to bone, and now they're shut, so there's no more growing. And again, that change is signaled with the change in sex hormones that begin around puberty. Lastly, we'll talk about exercise. Exercise can either hurt or help bone healing. We've already talked about how it can hurt bone healing. If you put too much stress on the bone before it's able to take it while it's still healing, you'll re-break it and it won't ever get the chance to heal. So that's why we talked about using things like crutches, casts, slings, pins, screws, plates, rods, etc. However, exercise, when the bone is ready for it, can also promote healing and bone growth and development. What happens is muscles pull on the bone, which causes the bone to thicken and get stronger. So this can even be seen throughout life, that doing some light resistance training can help strengthen bones and increase bone density, because as the muscles pull on bone, it gets thicker and stronger. Wolff's Law kind of explains this in a way that bone tissue, or other different tissues in the body as well, adapt to the stresses placed upon them. And so because you're stressing the bone by pulling on it through weight or resistance training, the bone tissue will adapt by becoming harder and more dense. So that is a quick overview of the healing process after a fracture, how we can help that healing process, and then some factors that affect bone healing, bone growth, and bone development, both positively and negatively.